It started off beautifully, as a matter of fact. Started off from the standpoint of spirit, at least, and enthusiasm. We got up in Fort Worth. He was jubilant about the reception he'd had. You see, at Fort Worth, this was the third stop we'd made. Everywhere we'd had tremendously enthusiastic, warm crowds that couldn't help but please him. So we were looking forward, actually, to coming to Dallas. And we were all eagerly awaiting the arrival in Dallas. Of course, we didn't talk about much, as you well know, because it's not a very long flight in the 707 Fort Worth to Dallas. The reception at the airport, everyone was extremely pleased. A tremendous crowd at the airport. He shook hands with a lot of them before we started the cavalcade downtown. So I would say that everyone was in extremely good spirits, high spirits, and particularly I think Ms. Kennedy had very much warmed to this type of an affair. As we came down, as we came through the residential area of Dallas, the crowds thinned a little bit. We talked. Again, he was extremely pleased, as was Ms. Kennedy, with the reception that they'd had. As we neared downtown Dallas, the crowds became enormous and extremely enthusiastic. As we came down through the main business district of Dallas, I would say we received as warm, as enthusiastic, as spontaneous a reception as we did in any city in the state. And it was really wonderful, to the point where just as we turned down by the courthouse, Nellie turned around and said to the president, she was so impressed by the warmth of the reception, she turned around and said to the president, well, Mr. President, you can't say that Dallas doesn't love you too. And he said, no, I think that's apparent, and or words to that effect. The crowds began to thin, but we were only about 5 minutes from the Trade Mart where the luncheon was to be held. So we all more or less straightened up in the car. I did, I know, and maybe I should explain that a little bit by saying that when you sit for a prolonged period of time, as we were, facing in one direction, acknowledging the crowd, why, when you get an opportunity, when the crowd thins, you kind of shift in the chair and straighten up. And we had just done that. I had, and I heard this shot, and I say shot because I immediately thought it was a shot. I immediately thought it was a rifle shot. Fear just swept through me, and I turned, thinking that the shot had come from back over my right shoulder. So I turned, and I obviously saw nothing but a tremendous crowd of people from where we had just come. And I saw nothing unusual, nothing out of the way, except people also had startled looks on their faces. They were turning, they were looking, and I didn't catch him in the corner of my eye. So I was in the process of turning to my left, and that's when I felt the impact of the bullet that hit me. Went in my back shoulder and came out my chest right here. I felt as if someone had just hit me in the back, a sharp blow with a doubled up fist. It more or less knocked me over, at least enough to where I looked down, and of course I was covered with blood, and frankly thought that I had been fatally hit. I never lost consciousness, and I was lying there and heard the third shot. I heard the third shot very distinctly. I heard it hit. I assumed that it hit the president. It obviously did. The evidence was splattered all over the car and all over my clothes and all over Nellie, and it was a time of just unbelievable stark tragedy. So many things go through your mind at that moment that I think it's probably impossible to relate at any future time, all the things that you thought. I know I thought, again, I rather assumed, without knowing, that the president had been fatally wounded. And I rather assumed that I had been. And so constantly there was going through my mind thoughts of Nellie, of the children, of what you'd done, and it's really difficult, I think, to try to explain all the things that you wonder about, all the things that you concern yourself with at a time like that.